asked to make sure I answer as part of this study for all 5 of those options, including the status quo do nothing. So here's the 10 questions that I have been asked to look at. And the last thing is, and this is, I put on the table a short questionnaire, if I can find a copy. Thank you. I'll give it right back to you. If you go to the website, you can also download this. It's also available to do it online. So if you've got internet, you can go right online and just type your answers in. And I'm just going to read the 5 questions for you. And you can fill this out like here after the meeting. We'll take a look, and turn it in right now.
The confidential questionnaire is what you're talking about?
Yeah.
That confidential questionnaire is very dangerous to fill out because, you fill this out, then you guys can go through, and since it's confidential, you guys could throw it away. I think we should be raising hands instead.
Can we raise hands, ma'am?
Yes.
Hold on. I want to say these questions. I want to read the questions. Let me just tell you something. You have to have a certain level, I suppose, of professional trust and integrity.
Hey, I saw voter fraud myself at the last Republican voter primary.
Let me tell you the reason why.
Don't tell me about trust with that.
The reason why.
I'm a witness.
The reason why I'm calling this confidential, and I'm committed to keeping it confidential, because I'll tell you, it's an intense audience, and I expect there to continue to be very strong emotions about this. And that can really intimidate some people, and they don't feel comfortable being able to ask the question that they want to. So that's
I feel
what
plenty comfortable.
I can. So
yeah.
no. That is
There we go.
I second that motion.
Yeah, I second that.
Okay, listen.
We have 327 people that live in the area, our own property here, and they said we don't want any way, shape, or form.
We've ruled out you
in
before.
this area.
Okay, here.
Yeah, there was a petition done.
Wait, people.
Very important.
Here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do, okay? I am going to read these questions. Then I'm going to ask, please I want to hear people that have questions that they want to make sure get answered as part of this study. I want to hear your questions so that I can write them down.
Well, these
and
people
then,
can't read for themselves what the questions are on the farm.
and then,
Come on now.
and
A little
then,
respect, please. I know there's a lot of people that are pissed off and been out of shape, but really, a little bit of respect, please.
and then after everybody who has a question that they want to get answered has had a chance to do that, I think at that point it will probably be 8:30. And then people that just want to stay and talk because they want to say a position or a comment, that's fine. I have to tell you, I know this is a public gathering, but I'm not going to do much at this point with your positions and comments because I don't even know, I have to gather the data. I don't even know what the information is yet. In January, when I have the issue done, the paper done, then it's time to comment and discuss on it.
Then what is this for? Are you gonna look at this and say, here's the conclusion I came up
No.
with?
So let me tell you what this is for. Here's the questions. Let me read the questions. 1. What is wonderful about this area? What are the special things about living here that must be maintained regardless of the kind of government that's here or not?
No borough.
No borough.
Great. So the reason that I want to know this is because if in the future you do decide to go forward once you've had the information and you know what it means, if you do, you want to make sure that any borough you design or preserves these really important things that you love about being here. This is almost the most important question, okay? Number 2, are there any possible benefits or opportunities that you think a borough might be able to provide? If so, what are they, okay? I understand. Number 3,
Leave us alone.
when you think about a borough, seem negative or scary, or you want to avoid them, and it's really
More government.
Okay, so it's important to say this stuff because, again, if some group of people does decide to go forward, you want to make sure that the borough avoids those things, okay? So you got to say what it is, unless it's just, I hate government, and then, what are you going to do?
I didn't say that.
I know.
I said more.
Number four, what questions about boroughs do you have that you would like to get answered in this study? Now, I'm going to ask that
None.
too, but if you want to leave, this is your chance to write this question down or send it in later. And finally, on the back side, number 5, and the place to write your answer is here right next to the map. Okay, we've just been through this. Do you have any idea on what borough boundary might make sense for this area, and why do you think that? So feel free to draw on the map. Please give me your name so that I know who commented, and here's what I'm going to do. If you don't want it, that's fine. Here's what I'm going to do with this. I am going to type up every single answer that I get. Whether you give it to me tonight, you mail it in, you do it online, it goes right into a database if you do it online. I'm going to type up every single answer, and then I am going to step back and say, what are the patterns here? What is the pieces of information? And I'm going to report that back to you in a summary. And it's not going to say, so-and-so said and so-and-so said. It's going to list what are the opinions and questions and things you love about the area, and what scares the heck out of you about this, and what doesn't seem so scary and you want to know more about, so that we can get past just the, loud, angry voices at this meeting and get the opinions of as many people that want to give them as would like. So that's what I'm doing with it.
So basically, you're going to tell us what we think. You're gonna
I'm gonna
you're gonna type it up and say, this is what you guys think.
Let me just tell you something.
And I don't trust that. I don't trust you. I'm sorry.
Well, then I don't think that you should do it. But I have to say, I've been in business for almost 25 years. I've had a zillion repeat customers. The reason why is because I think I do a halfway decent job, and this is your study. I am here to answer your questions.
No, it's not our study.
Well, this is a study that the city of Nenana is commissioning.
Can I say something? I'm one of those people that do not shout from the audience, and I want to say thank you so much, Barbara, because you've given a voice where I can answer the questions. I don't have to worry. I'll do it online. I don't have to stand up and shout at people in an audience. And I really appreciate just having that avenue. Thank you.
Okay, and now.
Can I say something one time, please? I find it real ironic that the city council that voted for this, I only see one lady here that's on the city council. Maybe I'm missing somebody. Okay, I'm sorry, 2. Of the city council, only 2 of them showed up.
Well, I'll tell you why that is. Because in 2009, they voted to file a petition to form a borough. So when you come in here and you tell us this is not about forming a borough, that's not true. We asked them at a city council meeting if they would repeal that resolution to file a petition, and they refused. So we know what the intent is. And until they repeal that, we don't trust them.
The only thing that I would say is it's a good thing, I mean, frankly, it's a good thing that you got somebody from outside the region that is up here doing this, because I'm not the city council, okay? I didn't even know that they had done that. It's my job to do an objective information, and I don't, you may not like some of this stuff, or you may like some of it.
Why isn't the LBC doing this presentation? Because that's their job. You're not an elected official.
Actually, in some ways, it's sort of interesting, because I have done stuff where the LBC, their staff, has come here before. People, and I'm sure if you invite them, they'll come up and do a presentation for you.
We ran them off.
So, well, the reason why you want somebody, I mean, you know, this is my perspective, obviously. The reason why you want me here and not the local boundary commission, I know half of you are just going to groan when I say this. It's because I am your consultant, okay?
No, you're
I
the
am.
city.
I
You're
know.
the city consultant.
Okay, all right, I know. Bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me do this. Let's have a half an hour, please, of questions that you're brave enough to ask out loud that you would like answered so that I can write them down. And if you're not brave enough, you can write them on the form or do it online. And then we can do...
Why don't you, I would like to
Because I
answer
don't,
'em.
if I know an answer and it's easy, I'll try. But mostly, I have to research things and get them. I mean, I know a lot, but I don't know a lot, too. So let me just start here and do a sweep. Well, okay, yes, please. I have to let the nursing mother start.
Well, we already took care of that.
Would you mind saying, just to help me, your name and where you're from?
Yes,
Thank you so much, everybody.
my name's Pam Samash, and I'm at mile 297.3 Parks Highway, 7 miles south of Banana.
Could you stand so everybody can hear you?
Be really loud.
Yeah, we want to hear.
And remember, I'm looking for questions to answer, please. if
I don't
possible.
want to stand. She weighs 21 pounds.
Do you want me to hold her? Okay.
Pass her over. Now she's going to cry.
Try it.
Go ahead.
Turn around. So everybody can hear. Wait till she's done.
No, I'm good.
I would like, well, first of all, I want to start over. You're right. I am emotional. So let me just start over. Okay, I'll start over. And I mentioned city council because they did vote that in. You know, I don't know who supports what, and I'm not accusing anybody on city council of anything. I'm just, no, they voted it in. Okay, so here you are because of a vote. And I thought in the beginning, oh, well, they're neutral. And you guys will come and be neutral, and you will make decisions about this borough, and we'll be able, it will delay forced annexation, and this is a good thing, you know? And that's what I thought. And then, but then I researched beyond that and found that Ketchikan went into a borough, and it utterly destroyed their town. And they're way bigger than us. And I began to panic because there's about 700 of us that we would have to spread about the taxes. And Ketchikan, I just talked to him today, the borough manager,
Don Bockhorst.
Dan
Yeah.
Bockhorst, and he said that their public school is out $61 million because of the borough, because they're penalized by the state. And as a mother of children who go to this beautiful school, that I adore the teachers and the staff, I don't want to see one teacher lose their job. I don't want to see one bad thing happen to my school, because I don't want to, and I believe that once taxes start flowing, people will feel overwhelmed financially, and not only will the school lose money like Ketchikan School did and Skagway and other borough schools are, but they will also lose students, which is more money that they'll lose because people will move out. So there won't be nothing left of our school, which is a majority of our jobs other than clear. And that's my concern is our school and what happened to Ketchikan, and I don't want it to happen here. When I did the calculation mathematically, that means that our school will lose about $3,000 a day. It could, if it's anything like Ketchikan, which Ketchikan was $30,000 a day. So I don't want our school to lose $3,000 a year or a month. I care for our EMS people. I had to ride on the ambulance. I don't want anything to happen to them. You know, I believe that a borough is going to make everybody suffer. That's what I've learned in my research. The borough will only cause suffering to our community. It will end up in penalizations by the state, extra taxes, and I don't want to see those things happen to my city. And your company and I'm not trying to go after you personally or anything, but is involved with ICLEI, which is global warming in Juneau.
You work for it.
And that means that you're into taxing and
mean the
penalizing
Chamber of
people that burn wood. And I have to burn wood. I've got this huge, totally un-energy efficient house that the Jehovah's built. It's very pretty, but it doesn't hold the heat in very, very well. Because in the days that they built it, it wasn't that big of a deal. And now I've got to do all this work to fix it up, and I don't have the money or the time or the know-how because my husband's a perfectionist. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to say is I'm concerned that your company's not neutral. So on top of my concern about the boroughs, I feel like your company has an agenda. And so now I've lost confidence in this whole system.
Okay, so thank you.
Thank you for your time.
So here's the main thing. So this is what I wrote down from what Pam said. She's concerned about what the impact will be on schools. She doesn't want any jobs to get lost. She wants to know what's going to happen to school funding if a borough forms. She's scared about additional taxes, doesn't want any students to be lost as a result of borough formation, and she's concerned about alternative energy and wood energy. So those are things that I need to know about when I write this study so that to the extent it comes up, I can address them. So please, you know, that's what I'm looking for. What do I need to make sure I answer? I'll do one here, one here, one here. We'll go ahead.
Okay,
And please say who you are and where you live. Thanks.
I live in Indiana, and my name is Donna Schneider. My husband and I own a cabin on the Tetnanikla River, and I'm concerned about that being taxed.
Great.
And if we had a borough, would that happen?
Okay, excellent.
Surely you know the answer to that.
Well, I know, but
No, actually, you know, really, I'll just say there's 19 boroughs, and I think 14 of them have property tax, and 5 of them do not. You do not have to have a property tax if you have a borough. That's why I need to know what your concern is. Your concern
well,
is
if
about.
you taxed it, what would you do for me out there?
Well, and that's
That's a
another
good
good question.
question.
That's another question.
I'm sure a
Okay,
fire truck would.
sir, and then we'll go, sir.
I have,
Could you say your name and where you're from, please?
yes, my name is,
Stand up so we can hear you, too.
my name is Mark Abel, and I have a property north of town. And I have 2 questions. I'll try to make them brief. The first question is, if a borough was formed and this borough grew over the course of time and grew in its spending and the bureaucracy increased and they wanted to do what they do best, make more regulations and restrict our freedoms and things. If that were the case and pretty soon they spend more than they take in and they go upside down like that, at what point, what's the end game of that borough when it goes into debts? Can, for example, if the people don't want to be charged a property tax, can they say, well, we don't care if the borough got themselves into trouble, then they should be held responsible that did so. That those people that got us into debt, then they're the ones that should go to jail for doing so, because they are basically practicing extortion by using the law against the people to force them to pirate money from them. And so the question is this: what happens? Will the borough collapse and then the debt disappears? No. Will the state step in and force the people to pay by raising a property tax? What occurs when a borough goes into massive debt? Second question, who decides the items within the charter in the foundation of a borough if a borough was forced against the will of the people?
Okay, I can answer that, and that is if you decide to do a home rule borough, so you write a charter, you form a charter commission, and I actually don't know the exact rules on how, like, representative it has to be and whatnot, but you have a commission that's supposed to represent the people that would be in the borough, and they work together on the charter, and you ultimately vote on the charter so that it includes what you want. So that's how that works. But
Who would
I
write
can
that?
explain that.
Who would write that charter?
The charter commission, the people that either,
Who decides who's on the
I
charter commission?
will, find out, I will find out.
Would the city of Indiana decide that?
Yeah.
I will find it.
Hell no, they won't.
Are they elected? Are they elected, the charter assembly?
I will find out. I will find out.
If a
Okay.
charter were formed, sorry, Bill, if a charter were formed, can it be set up so that it will be where all the people can have a voice in it rather than choose representatives, that they can all partake in the process of hammering out a charter if a borough was forced on us against our will, of course?
Of course.
Bill.
Yes, ma'am. My name's William Nimick. Ma'am, before I answer
Yes,
you
sir.
anything or
Yes,
anything,
sir.
are you a member of the Bar Association?
No, I'm not an attorney.
You're not an attorney?
No.
Okay,
May I
was kind
ask
of
where
hoping
you
was.
live?
Okay, I live right across the border. I'm in the Denali Borough,
Oh, okay.
and it's terrible. We're trying to get out.
Okay.
And I'm down here helping, and ma'am, I wanted to explain something to you. You come here with questions on building the borough, so I have a couple of answers for you. They tried to put a borough in here before, and we had a petition. It got caught. It got stolen out of Healy. It got caught being stolen in Enana. The reason Enana right now is not in the borough is we kept them petitions. We caught them in Edmund Lord's restaurant. I still have them. We were going to put that in public record. Dr. Wood, Joe Vogler, and Bobby Miller helped us put this. This is years ago.
Okay.
This petition went through. We had lots of signatures. It was stolen. We called the United States Marshal. We caught the lady stealing them in Enana. We don't want a government that's not run by the people, and we want the right to petition. And it worked. Enana stayed out of the borough. Now, years later, smooth push of Marxism pushing us in the borough again. This is what happens here, ma'am. People want to be free. They don't want a borough government whatsoever. And the point of it is there's another petition. These gentlemen here would like to explain it to you. And it's done, and it's in the state record, majority consensus. That's why I ask if you're an attorney, because the most sacred thing of a free republic is the right to petition, not the government controlling the petition like the state does in its infrastructure, controlling everything from comprehensive communist plans on up the list. It doesn't work. We know what they are anymore. Rural Alaskans are smart, they're tough, they're brave, and they're not going to be in any government, no matter what you do. And they're here trying to be polite to you, to tell you, but they're upset because they've seen what happened to the rest of our state. We come to Alaska to be free people. Don't care about money or funding more than just to be free first. And that's why we're here. And there's a petition on file in the state government, in the state record right now, majority consensus, and where's he at here? Clarence, where you at?
What was the results of that?
Clarence, you can
Can you
speak to
tell us?
Clarence about it. This is right
We
from the
did
people.
the petition this winter, and we had 327 people that live in the area or own property here that said they did not want any type of borough. And that's been filed in the public record with the state of Alaska. So it's a public record. People can go online and see that.
Yep.
Go to the recorder's office or look it up for your internet.
I have one more point and I'll be done.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am, one other thing that's going on, a lot of us do a lot of research. We know what's happening with our whole country's going into shambles. We see that everywhere around us. We don't trust elections after Murkowski's election, but we stupid believe he was honest. This is the other point that's happening now. Homeland Security. Everybody do some research. Don't go by what I say here. Look yourself. Homeland Security has an agenda. It's already working. They have a plan for disarming the public. It's real. They have a plan. They want everybody, federal government wants everybody in the local government. They want a Homeland Security officer in each government organization. We do not want Homeland Security here. We do not want arms takers here, and we don't want any part of the new movement in America to become this left-wing socialist country. We are free Alaskan people, and we're going to stay that way till the last day.
I thought we were Homeland Security, Bill.
Anyway, this is why the borough isn't wanted, because we don't trust the government, and we surely are not going to trust the infrastructure of the state of Alaska.
Okay.
I did 2 terms on the borough assembly myself. I ran for public office 4 times.
Yeah.
I'm done with them. Thank you for your time.
Okay. I'm sorry. Laurie Brooks. I live about 16 miles south of Indiana. Okay, a little bit earlier, you said something about one borough having fish but we have oil. Well, we don't have anything. So, right now, I want to know, will your study be based on what we actually have or what we're gonna have? If it happens at all.
No,
Or
that's,
what we might
that's a
have.
great, that's actually a really good question.
So we
both.
hope it's
I will
studied,
look at both.
it's
That's
based on fact.
good.
On what we have.
Yeah, we don't want you to do, well, you might, dig up $1 million out of the ground. I don't know.
Another
We don't
thing.
want that.
Okay, we definitely do not want a unified borough, because with the unified borough, you have to eliminate cities. If you eliminate the city, then the city loses its debt, which Nenana has a huge debt. We don't want that. We want to make sure it is a non-unified borough. We never want them to be dissolved. And then, another one. And then, another one, I wanted to just pass a comment about capital improvement projects. And you said something about, well, if you're a borough, you can
issue
apply for a bond.
bonds. You can issue
Well,
bonds.
Delta, who's not in a borough, I always bring up
Cities
Delta,
can do it
but
too. Yeah.
they wanted to insulate their schools, and it was gonna cost $2 million. And of course, they're not a borough, so they had to put their name in the hat. Well, then, they decided, no, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a bond. And the state said, the only way you can get a bond is if you come up with 20%. And so what they did is they came up with the 20% before they got the bond. And what they did is you'd go into Delta, and here would be like a thermometer, and they did everything and anything they could to raise the 200,000 that was needed. And once they gave that to the state, they got the insulation, so it can be done. Also, remember, Delta's not a borough, but they get PILT from Pogo, and Pogo loved the fact they didn't have to deal with the borough. So I am sure, if Live Good ever happens, they would be happy not to deal with the borough. But the last question I have is, okay, you said that the whole borough would get this revenue sharing, and then could get the revenue sharing, okay? And then it's up to the borough to distribute the revenue sharing. Well, those of you that live in Denali and live in Anderson know that the revenue sharing is dominated by the most populated part of the borough. So if you look at the borough we're looking at, do you think Manly and Stevens Village and Rampart, Tanana might get some, Nenana will get a lot, so these other villages, they would be crazy to want to be part of this. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ma'am,
My name's Tara.
Tara, and
I
where do
live
you?
over the river and through the woods from here.
Oh,
True story.
in outside of Indiana,
Outside of the city.
outside of the city.
And I have a multi-part question. I hope that you can, it's all really the same question, and I hope you'll be able to answer right now in a way that might set all of our minds at ease. I heard you, at the beginning you said that we could be, or that we would be annexed against our wills, but we all know that Delta was never annexed against their wills. And then later you said that Dillingham did not have a fish tax for non-commercial fishers, but I'm looking right here at a 2012 Boundary Commission report that says that they do have fish tax on everybody, but they return 50% of the fish tax for people with subsistence licenses. So I've come here as a relatively uneducated person. I didn't do any research. I just was handed this information as I came in. But I can see that it seems like you're saying things that aren't true. And if I can see that, I think all of these other people have seen similar things in your presentation. Is there anything you can tell us to help us trust you?
Well, probably not, to be honest. But I will say, I'll say two things. Whether you get, the point of the annexation comment was that what I'm going to look at is if the greater Nenana area there joined the Denali or Fairbanks Borough. And my comment was that could either happen like hostile, like, they wanted you and applied to take you over, or you would decide for some reason that you wanted to join with them. Regardless of whatever the circumstance was, you know, the data is still gonna be the same, so the information. So that was.
So what happens then is, does it go by majority rule when that happens? I mean, we can't vote for our own region?
Here, okay, so, I mean, this is so far into the what ifs that it's
Well, I
kind
know
of.
this is a big threat, so.
Okay.
So why
So
are
the
you
way,
telling us
so
that we
here's
don't
what it
have
would,
options if
here's,
we know that
here's,
we have?
if, what it would let's just, here's a scenario. You've got the greater Nenana area, you know what activity is going on there, what the tax base is, what the schools are like, and if, this is one of those in the future things, if there was an oil and gas discovery in this area and all of the sudden there's a big taxable asset in this area, that would be the kind of scenario where someone might decide, you know what, the Model Borough Boundary Commission said they're supposed to be with us anyway. We're going to put together, they'd have to go through the exact same process. They'd put together a petition, it would go to the local boundary commission, you'd come out, you know, in force and protest. I mean, it follows a regular process. That's the hostile takeover scenario. And the only reason, but what I'm looking at is, if you were, regardless of how you got there, what would happen, how would you vote? What would happen to your taxes? What would happen to revenue for education if you were part of another borough? Maybe it would go way down, maybe it would go way up. Maybe I won't be able to tell, and I'll have to say I can't tell. But that's what I'm going to look at. Back to, you know, if you feel that you're hearing something that isn't true or that sounds funny, you need to write that down or you need to call me on it, because
But you wouldn't let us speak during the presentation.
well, I'm letting you speak now, though, and I'm encouraging you to write comments and send questionnaires. All I can say is, you know, I'm going to try and do my best possible job, and hopefully by the end of it, you feel, I hate this report, but I understand the information. You know, that's all I can hope for. But I would like to, okay, I want to
Barbara,
keep...
can I get one more question? No, just one.
Well, wait, no,
You have
We
a-
let you have your time. We should,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, you have an open, I viewed your contract with Mr. Mayran.
Could you say your name, please?
Yes, my name is Jeff, and I live on the north side of town.
Okay, thank you.
I viewed your contract, and it appears that you have an open-ended contract. Now, the way I understand it is, he got $75,000, and he's giving you $65,000. And in that clause, it says that in case you incur more charges, because this amount of money only completed half of this study, only half.
No, it doesn't say that.
Well, if it's not sufficient, if the amount of money that he has given her is not sufficient, then he agreed to enter into negotiations with her to come up with a solution to pay the rest of the money.
An open contract.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Here, okay.
So, that is my question.
All right, here's...
Let's say you need another $150,000. Is that man and his city council liable for that bill?
No, he's not. Here's the deal. Nobody's liable because they wouldn't give it to me, okay? Here's the deal. Here is the situation. I am looking at a lot of options on your behalf, okay? This kind of... So,
You've hired 2 staff members already for this
No, I haven't. No,
yes, you did. You said earlier.
they're my regular employees. I didn't hire them for this contract.
Well, you hired them based on the revenue from this contract.
Anyway, I've had
Billable hours for
employees for years and years and years. At any rate, so because this contract has a lot of options that I'm looking at, and because to really do a good job, given that one of the options is regional in nature, I really should go to all of the communities that are involved and present the report and let them hear and talk about it.
Wouldn't you be
That's-
required to?
Well,
Don't you
that's
have
the part that I'm nervous about because it costs a lot of money to get around to places here. So what I said to the mayor was, if in order to accomplish that task, it may take extra funding to really go to all of the places. Could we talk about that possibility if that, if that becomes necessary.
I think if
So
that, if
that's-
it comes to that, we should have representation just as much as city
You didn't answer
council
the
because,
question. Who's responsible?
yeah, because who's gonna be responsible? The new borough?
Hold on. Here we go. Let's listen to the man that got it all started. Him and Paul. Right here. All right.
I've been doing this for a little while now. You guys know that, right? You're relatively new, but I've been doing this for over 10 years now. How many city contracts have gone over budget?
Too many.
How many? Name one, Mike. Name one contract that I have been a part of that went over budget.
I don't know whose names would be on it.
One, just one.
But the Living Center.
That's not a contract, and that was before I was mayor. Name one contract that went over budget since I've been here.
I don't know, but I know
Anything.
one thing. If she has to go to Minto, Manley, and Stevens Village and all that, who's going to pay for it? That's the question.
And we would like to know that if
And
it
it's
does
not
happen,
gonna
will
come
we
out of your
have-
pocket because
will we
it's-
know about it if it
And it's not
does?
going to come out of your pocket.
We just want to know about it if it does.
It's not going to because it's a finite amount of money. It's not going to happen.
So basically, you're not gonna do it.
So if she can't get the thing done on $65,000, she goes home.
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly
That's
right.
exactly right.
So the Tananol one is probably out then. We're not gonna do the Tananol.
We have a
one
budget,
then.
we stay within the budget, we utilize the budget. That's the best I can do. We don't go over budget. I don't have the money. There is no money.
I have a copy of that, and it says, if it seems possible that the scope of work could exceed the budgeted amount, the contractor will immediately notify the city, and the two parties will identify a mutually agreeable solution. In parentheses, for example, city could help prioritize contractors' tasks or travel, possibly identify added funding, etc.
Possibly identify additional funding or modify what's within the contract to keep it within the confines of $65,000. There's two sides. Well, good.
Okay, can
Ma'am,
I
I got
ask,
one question.
before we spin out here, are there other questions
Yes,
that
ma'am.
you, for the record, want to make sure I answer? Okay, this gentleman and then.
Yeah, I got a question.
Lady, please. I'm sorry, could you say your name and where you live?
I bought a remote property 20 years ago, out across the flats, with the intentions of building a place to retire. And it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't even have a vote in this. I can't sign a petition. I've got no choice but to go along with whatever happens. Number one. Number two, if this isn't about politics and money, what are you doing here?
Now we got one question.
And I have a question about the regional borough. What does it take to negotiate the tax on the pipeline? Like, how, you know, is it just a standard flat rate that the state would get the same thing that we would get hypothetically if we formed that borough? Or do we have to negotiate with the pipeline, whoever controls that? I don't really know. And another thing, would you be able to, like, define the 6 different ways that you can possibly be annexed by a neighboring borough? Could you educate us on that a little bit more? And then also, our proposed revenue, if we did go with the regional borough from the pipeline versus the like cost of city and surrounding areas for Tanana, Manly, Minto, Round Park, Stevens, and Livengood, do we get like a, you know, cost versus income, you know, projection from like those cities, debt, if we did the regional borough, yeah, like, you know, what the consolidated debt versus the consolidated income would be?
Great.
One thing that I think you should address is there is a very large program based in Atlanta called Cyberlinks. It is part of the United City Schools. And if you dissolve United City Schools for a borough district, that's going to have enormous ramifications for correspondence education in this state. course, they probably dry up. That means those costs are going to be picked up by the people of Indiana in the form of a property tax. All right? And I want everybody to really think carefully. I fought a good fight back in the early 90s or mid-90s to get those correspondence programs in. There was a group of people with idea that were unhappy, so they spun off on their own through Cyberlinks. It's been an awesome program. It's been a phenomenal opportunity. And from what I'm seeing, from what you explained, they're going to lose that. Not only that, when the Common Core requirements come into effect in 2015, which you didn't even mention. All right, the Common Core requirements, which come into effect in 2015, and you can talk to Commissioner Henry about it if you like. There is going to be huge, massive technological improvements and upgrades to meet those requirements. Right now, the state would pay for that, or they could finance it out of Cyberlinks. But if they are a borough, that's going to have to be paid for out of property tax revenue. And so if they become a borough, there is no way to escape property taxation, because they're going to have to pay their share in the state education formula in taxes.
Okay, let me just say that. Yeah, no, those are excellent questions and
No,
really
not
good
questions, they're
points.
statements, ma'am.
Well, no, that was actually the point I wanted to make. You made them like their statements, and I'm not sure that what you said
I know the state education formula.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do too, actually. And I just work with an area that also has a giant cyber link program like that, that's thinking about a borough.
Yeah, but it's not as big as Cyberlinks.
Well, but the point is that I need to address what the impact of forming a borough would be on these revenues and these upcoming requirements, so that you can understand them, and the education funding formula.
Because they can't do anything FNSB, and they've got what I would consider to be one of the worst correspondence programs. Of course, they came on late, and they've hopped programs, there's a lot of other issues. But they are so far behind what Indiana has.
So I didn't catch your name.
My name is Barbara Haney.
And do you work with the school?
No, actually, I'm an economist, and I was invited down here by friends who live in Indiana.
Okay, good.
I live between North Pole and Fairbanks.
Great, thank you.
I'm down here a lot.
Okay, good. Sir?
Yes. Was Sheinberg associated with the study resulting in a Juneau wood burning ban?
Yes?
No.
That's not what I
Wait,
read
were
online.
you worked for the Juneau Sustainability Study?
I did, okay.
Yeah.
My firm
Which
worked
sounds-
on a Juneau Climate Action Plan. There has been there is the option for a burning ban when the particulates get above a certain level in the valley. That's been around for 20 years or something.
That's what they tried to do in Fairbanks.
Yeah, but that had nothing to do with the Climate Action Plan.
Oh, wait.
It's okay, it's my most.
At any rate, that's not a question about this study.
No, it's a question
Sir.
of credentials.
Sir.
Yeah, it's your credentials.
Okay, thanks, Robert. So, I guess a common question and a question. So, my impression was, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if you're gonna do property tax on any kind of industrial property, you have to have the same property tax for everyone. So you can bring in the residential tax exemptions for the residents, but that leaves all the businesses, the commercial enterprises out in the cold, because it shifts the tax burden to them and to the industrial base, but you're gonna pose all those small businesses with those property taxes, because you can't have differing rates. You can only have state-allowed exemptions. So that needs to be addressed. And then what needs to be addressed is what is the minimum contribution that the borough will be required to do for the school districts?
Right.
And that really needs to be known, the amount, and also how much that's gonna come out to play on a tax basis.
Yeah. Sir?
Yeah, I have a question, a couple of questions, specifically addressed to you. Bill Nimick kind of hit on an important point here, whether or not you're a member of the Bar Association. And I was under the impression that you were a lawyer for a while there. And I'm glad you're not, because Dante has a place for lawyers in the Inferno. But anyway, so the thing I would like to ask you is, are you an elected official?
No.
Are you an agent of the state?
No.
Do you work for any bureaucratic agency of the state? Huh?
No, she's just a chick with a shingle out there saying I'm a consultant.
Okay, because here's the deal. This whole process right here is an unconstitutional process. You are not a representative of the people here. You're not a representative of the state. You are a private, for-profit business. And you've made a living off of this for decades. Am I correct? Okay. Okay. So your occupation is in a racket here to suck money off the state, off of us locally, and to get rich down there in Juneau. You know, and so this process is completely illegitimate because the local boundary commission is supposed to be doing what you're doing. And they're cowards. They won't come here and do their job. Okay? They're supposed to be doing the study. They're supposed to be answering our questions. And they hire you because you're a facilitator. And your job is to come here and smooth things over. What we've endured here in the last 2 hours is what's called a Delphi meeting.
Yeah.
This is an organized meeting for the purpose of guaranteeing an outcome.
Persuasion. And, you know, if she's worked for, have you worked for a political candidate? Because one of the reasons why I didn't put in anything on this RFP was one night I was sitting at the post office and helping some guy stuff envelopes, and it happened to be the state legislature.
Could you have your co-facilitators raise their hands?
Why don't other people have questions here between 1 and 2 out there? You know?
Let me just remind you again that the outcome of this study will be answering the 10 questions that are on the back of this sheet, plus all the other ones that I'm writing down here. And even if it's like not exactly a question, I can tell what your concern is. And I'm going to give you this information, and then it's going to be up to you to decide, you know, to weigh it and think about it. I'd like to hear from people who haven't had a chance to ask a question yet.
I have a question.
Sir, and 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, Rocky Riley from Minto. How many people do you need to form a borough?
How many people do you need?
Yeah, Minto has 500 people.
Yeah. What you need is the area. First, you have to figure out the boundary of the proposed borough. And then you need 15% of the people that voted in the last election in that boundary to sign the petition. And then, after it's approved by the local boundary commission, if it is, then the majority of the residents in that area have to vote yes.
So Minto is 500 people can form a borough themselves?
Yeah, so it's great. I mean, we've been talking about all of these options and ideas. There are really very clear standards that have to be met in order to form a borough. And basically, in a nutshell, they look at the social, cultural, economic, geographic, transportation links in the area and decide if it has the ability, and does it have enough people. Usually there has to be at least 2 communities in it, and a community is 25 or more people. And so the area has to meet certain requirements.
You need 2 communities?
You need a community and a place. And a place has to have at least 25 people. It's actually defined, and I should double check, but you really, having said that, the local boundary commission has recently allowed boroughs to form they kind of all did have 2 communities. But, so go ahead, sir. It's tricky.
If Minto
could go on its own.
Minto could go on and form its own borough. I just want to remind most of the people here that you guys are on Chief Thomas, Victor Lord, and Willie. This was Chief Thomas's country right here. And right out in my country was Chief Peter John and a bunch of different chiefs. And that you guys, I want to remind you guys that when the first white people came, Walter Northwood was the first one that saw him. He was 120 years old when he died. And he saw these white guys digging a hole in the ground. He couldn't understand what they were doing.
Didn't make no sense. But he noticed one thing, they were starving. So Walter Northway, as a kid, went out and hunted ducks every single day for those white guys. And he put ducks in the middle of their camp, and he saved their lives, right? You guys come into this country, and you guys are screaming and hollering, cutting down everybody. You guys have no regard for the native people.